Hey, this is Brett the Hitman Hart, the best there is, best there was, and the best there ever will be. And you're listening to the Smacked Raw podcast.
Hey, folks, welcome to the Smack Drop Podcast, your one stop shop for all your WWE and AEW recaps, reviews, pay per view predictions. New crew tonight. I got myself and Vince, who's also
Hey,
on the stream. What's up, Vince?
hey, how's it going, everyone? Let's give this face cam a test run and see how it goes.
Yeah, man. Last time it was a little choppy, but I'm hopeful now. I got the new rig, new set, man. Oh, it's gonna be good. If you guys are first time listeners, we are a wrestling podcast. We primarily cover WWE and AEW shows. Every now and then, we might do something like if there's a big New Japan show or maybe AAA and
Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory this weekend.
You and Benji could probably
Yeah,
take
I'm gonna,
that
I'm
one.
gonna be, I'm gonna be at Bound for Glory. So if anything, maybe I'll have Monday off. I'll record something for all you Impact folk out there. Try to give you guys my intel and see what I thought about the show live and in person.
Hell yeah. I hear you on that one. If you're listening to us, though, you can find us on Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and iTunes. We are also on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, help us get 100 subscribers and that custom URL we've been chasing after for a while. And also, listen, man, we're just a bunch of guys that like to talk wrestling. Of course, we'd love to talk it with you guys. You can find us at the Smack Drop Pod, myself at the Kai Tai Show, and then Vince, where are they going to find you at, man?
At SES Vince, anywhere you can think of. Check out my Instagram, my YouTube channel, my Twitter, anywhere. Just look up that name. You should be able to find me.
Hell yeah. Um, I think that's we plugged everything, right? Plugged our
Yeah.
audio, plugged the YouTube, told them who we are. Wow, these intros are getting shorter, man. I'm getting good at them.
Yeah, well, there's less people. There's only two of
That's
us
true.
today, so
That's
there's less
true.
to talk. There's less to get through.
Yeah, Rob, who's normally here on Raw, he is busy watching the Lions and Packers game because, of course, he's from Detroit, so he's going to go ahead and watch that. And then,
Boo.
yeah, Kevin, I think Kevin said he's feeling ill, so that's how you're winding up with the two-man crew, which we don't mind, man. We don't mind. Well, this show started with a two-man crew, so it's
Yeah,
nothing new
definitely.
to us. We're here covering tonight the second night of the 2019 draft, this time taking place on USA's Monday Night Raw. Overall, not gonna lie, a strong show, man. In my opinion,
Yeah,
I think honestly, outshined SmackDown by like a landslide.
for sure. Honest, it might like for the one time, like in like a really long time, the 3 hour format really helped Raw. You're able to like get more wrestling into the show, unlike SmackDown, which had to squeeze in all the draft like coverage. Plus, like they barely got four matches in there, and there was not a lot to show for in ring wise. And tonight there was great in ring action. There was the draft, and they had even story developments here. So the 3 hour format works for these special event shows, but for a weekly program, it doesn't. And but today it worked, and I liked it. I liked it. I thought Raw was good.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I completely agree. Where SmackDown felt like it had very little to no stakes, we saw a lot of big stuff happen tonight on Raw, regardless of draft. Even if you were to remove the entire draft, I can think of, well, really, out of the three big things, which we'll go over, one of them, I guess, wouldn't have taken place without the draft, but the other two were already scheduled regardless. But I got a big question going into tonight's show. I got a big question.
Okay.
We got the answer for the two traveling belts. We got the answer for the women's tag team champions where they're heading, and the 24/7 champion R-Truth where he's heading. Do these belts still travel between shows?
Actually, they made a point of emphasis of pointing out that when the Kabuki Warriors were drafted, that yeah, they're exclusive to Raw, and the titles will be defended on both shows. So Dio Madden and the crew, they said these titles will be defended on Raw and SmackDown. But if Kabuki Warriors lose the titles, they're exclusive to Raw, which is what I always thought was going to be the rule going into it. 24/7 title, I don't think they elaborated on. I still don't know what it means. And Raw probably would be the better place to have the 24/7 title, especially since Fox wants it to be a little bit more sports feel. You have a little bit more time to kill on Raw. Maybe that was the whole point. Maybe the 24/7 title might be an exclusive title for Raw. I don't know. But we do know that the women's tag titles will be a traveling title for both shows.
Yeah. So ideally for me, I'd like to see both those belts go across all three brands: Raw,
Oh, yeah.
SmackDown, and NXT. Maybe even have 24/7 championship. I know it'll never happen, but pop up on NXT UK, just to give that unpredictability. And then
It'd be great to see.
and then like you said, if either of the champs lose their belts on the other show, they still go back to their respected brand, while the belt continues to travel amongst all three. So that's what I would like to see. It sounds like you said, that's what's going to be the case for the tag, the women's tag champs. But it's still up in the air with the 24/7 title. We kicked off tonight's show with a recap of the feud taking place between Seth Rollins and The Fiend. We were wondering if this feud was done. It is not. Which we should have seen it coming, given SmackDown. Given SmackDown with the whole Seth being dragged down through the ring and then tossed back up, whatever. We then open from Denver. I got to tell you, man, a couple weeks in, I'm still loving the return of Pyro. Pyro has been the biggest return that I could ask for.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked for it.
Honestly, it's maybe like the second week back, and I've already adjusted to it. I don't know. It just it feels right. It feels like a former friend that's returned home and you've missed dearly. It's been great.
Absolutely. Oh man. Well, like I said, we open from Denver with the number 1 draft pick, the cornerstone of Raw, Miss Becky Lynch herself. She is taking on Charlotte, which I guess this proves that Sasha's injury might be a little bit more severe than originally anticipated. I heard that she's out with a tailbone related
That's
injury.
what I heard.
Yeah, which I got to tell you, man, I was a kid. I slipped on some ice up in Maine one winter. I fractured my tailbone. That ain't no joke, man. Sitting down and standing up is just god awful when you're dealing, and there's nothing you can do about a tailbone injury. You live with it.
The worst thing that I can compare it to was back when I was younger. I tried to test my athleticism and dunk on my 8-foot rim and fell on my ass, and that hurt like hell. So I can't imagine the actual pain of a tailbone injury, but if it's anything close to what I felt, it must be hell.
Yeah, I would imagine so. But anyways, Becky hops on the mic, says a little bit. Charlotte comes out, says a little bit. I do like that Charlotte says she's done fighting Becky, man. They just want to be friends again.
Right.
And then she cold cocks her. Just says, you make it so hard, though.
You make it so hard to be your friend, Becky, and then just boom, wax her. It was great. I like that it goes into a brawl afterwards, and then we cut into commercial break. Which was a nice, easy transition. They let that for the crowd, regather and stuff like that, and they calm everything down. And then as soon as we come back for commercial, bell rings, and they are at it once again. They went at it to each other. They beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, I'll give it that. It wasn't their best match, but these two have faced each other week in and week out before, and we're not on a pay-per-view. So it is what it is. It was a decent match. The really big question is who gets the win here. Both competitors feel like they're worthy of wins and shouldn't be losing. Becky Lynch, of course, being the champion between the two, manages to get the roll-up and the victory over Charlotte, giving Raw the opening pick, which you would think makes sense because the format is they go one show picks, the other show picks, but since Raw gets 3, if SmackDown got the opening pick, it would go SmackDown, Raw, Raw, which just is weird. So for symmetry reasons and everything, you kind of always knew it was going to be Raw getting the opening pick on both shows.
I did notice that maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it does seem like they're trying to tell a story here with Charlotte, that she's getting frustrated because it happened last week on Friday Night SmackDown with Bayley. You saw her visibly frustrated with her not her, like getting rolled up and beaten by Bayley, and then you saw tonight she was frustrated, and that frustration caused her to be like rolled up by Becky, and she lost because of that. So maybe there's a story in place here.
Yeah, wasn't it earlier this year that there was a big story coming out that Charlotte was on a large losing streak?
Mm-hmm.
I think 2019 hasn't been the best year for her.
It hasn't. I mean, she's won the SmackDown Women's title at least twice this year, but she was also one of the. She didn't win any big matches. Like, yeah, she won the titles and stuff like that, but then it wasn't consistent like success for her. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe like she said, she wants to be friends with Becky. Maybe this leads to her slowly transition to a face, which she was acting like a face when she was feuding with the other members of the Horsewomen. I'm not saying I like it because heel Charlotte is better. Charlotte, she's like just like Randy Orton. Like they're both great competitors, but they're both better as heels. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying what I saw. There might be a story at play here.
Yeah, it is one of those things. Like you know, you have wrestlers who can play a role a certain way and play it well, but that doesn't mean that they get to play that role 100%. So I could see them transitioning. I just remember Charlotte's last face run. It never felt genuine. Like you always knew that she's Ric Flair's daughter. Come on.
Exactly.
Man.
Yeah.
She's got that ego, like, you know, like
She's got that flair, you would say.
You son of a bitch. All right.
I've been hanging around Benji too much.
After the match, we got Charlie Caruso and Seth Rollins backstage. Finally, he addresses Hell in the Cell. It felt so awkward on SmackDown that it was never brought up, seeing as such it was such a character-driven story that it was just kind of pushed on the wayside for his match with Roman. He says, essentially, he's going Fiend hunting. He's
basically.
Yeah, Fiend's been picking his shot, so it's Seth's turn. Pick his shot, man. Yeah, that's
we see the rest of that develop towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
From there, I think it was Steph announcing the first round picks, right?
Yes. So we have on the Raw side. Do you want to read these off, like who Raw got, or do you want to go back and forth like they did on the show?
Let's go back and forth. You'll be Raw. I'll be SmackDown.
So Raw's number one draft pick, the obvious one, is going to be the Universal Champion, Seth Rollins.
All right. And since Raw's getting the Universal title, SmackDown picks Brock Lesnar for the WWE title.
Yep. We cut back. We get Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, so she's officially moving shows. And then staying on the blue brand is going to be the New Day with all three members staying put.
Nice. And then finally we cap off, which was my favorite pick of the night because of its positioning. Andrade with Selena Vega going. I can't even remember what brand they were on to begin with, but they're on Raw now.
It was weird with them. So because during the Superstar Shakeup or whatever they did after WrestleMania, they were on SmackDown. They were drafted over to Raw. But then, like, literally a couple of days later, they decided to move them back to SmackDown. Then Wild Card Rule happened, and they were on both shows. And then now they're officially on just one show.
That Wild Card Rule was such a mess. Oh, my God. I hated it
so bad. I'm just glad it's over with. And, like, they obviously have high hopes for Andrade if he went first round to Raw. And he was showcased tonight as a top draw.
Hell yeah. Over here, we've got the draft/kickoff panel. They call it the draft panel, but it's the same setup as whenever they do the kickoff shows.
Yeah.
Booker T, Beth Phoenix, Renee Young, and Samoa Joe. I didn't catch any of the banter. I just saw them. So I don't know if they said anything of substance on this go around.
No, not really. Didn't really catch anything that they might have said, like that they brought up. They might have been of any consequence. I think they were just plugging in the recap show that they have tomorrow or something with Renee and Booker. That was basically the gist, and just reintroducing the same like group of 4 people they had on SmackDown.
Okay. So afterwards, we get the newly picked Andrade comes out with his mouthpiece, Zelina Vega. She claims they weren't drafted with the first round picks. The first round picks were drafted with them.
Yes.
So that's nice. I love that they stick to their character. She throws a jab at the horsewomen, calls them the horse faces by mistake.
Which is funny because Andrade gave her like this look like, yo, what you doing?
That's his girl, man. That's his girl. Like, it's his fiance. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. So Selena's like, oh, okay, my bad. But
They gonna split up, man. One day, you think real life is gonna spill over, and
I don't know, man.
I don't know. That would have to be a face turn for him, because that's the only way I could see Charlotte turning face is if her relationship with Andrade got brought out. But I don't even know where to begin with how you would book that.
Okay, I go into like full like fantasy booking mode. I bring in Rush from Ring of Honor. I bring in Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo. You pair up Charlotte. You make the new Los Ingobernables on Monday Night Raw, the original Mexican CMLL version. You do that. That's the way to do it.
There you
go. That's just me like fantasy booking.
Nice, man. Oh boy. We get the match is Andrade versus Ali. Serviceable match here. These guys could put on a match of the night contender. However, I didn't give this one that. I felt like this was a running through the motions match for me. There was a couple cool spots. Ali getting pushed off the top rope. It seems like that's like one of his signature spots.
Yeah.
Is he dives up to the top rope and then his opponent actually pushes him off. It's kind of like the Ric Flair-esque, where he's got a signature fail moment in every match.
Like Shawn Michaels when he gets tossed into the ring post and he just flops like a fish. Yeah, exactly. So they just had a really good match. You can tell these guys have great chemistry. They're both great wrestlers. They just obviously weren't given the time to put on like a 5-star match, but they can. They've obviously can. But like the closing sequence was for me like what like stood out because earlier in the match, Ali was trying to dive onto Andrade on the outside, and Selena got in the way. And then later on, towards the finish, Selena does the same thing, but then Ali decides, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna do it anyway, and does that whole flip senton over Selena Vega, lands on Andrade. But right when Ali, I think he throws Andrade into the ring, and when he looks up, Selena hits this nasty Hurricane Rana from the apron to Ali, like she does all the damn time. He gets rolled in, gets the Impaler DDT or like the Hammerlock DDT.
Hammerlock, yeah.
Yeah, Hammerlock DDT, and just 1, 2, 3. Solid, strong victory for Andrade, though.
Yeah.
But it was really fun, though. I liked the match.
I've always been a fan of the DDTs that have the arms trapped. Like Mick Foley's like double underhook DDT.
Well, maybe not his, but the double underhook in general. Like McIntyre used to do that back in the day, and that looked really good.
Because they always look more dangerous. You know what I mean? Because you don't have like your hands there to soften the blow. It really makes it look like your head's getting spiked. It's kind of one of the closer things, like to like the pile driver esque, you know,
or the pedigree,
Yeah, depending who gives it. Sometimes it gets held, and then sometimes, you know, like Triple H, I think Triple H is off and on. Sometimes he'll hold it, sometimes he lets it go. I think it maybe just depends on the opponent where he lets
it does.
Yeah, it's like, you know, what do you feel safe with? You want your arms free? Okay, I'll let it go there. Which kudos to him if that's true, but I don't know. I just made
also during the match they had like the whole like news brief, like breaking news thing underneath saying that there will be a new episode of the Firefly Funhouse after what Seth Rollins had said. So that happened mid-match too.
Nice.
So they had that. Yeah.
Nice. Up next, second set of draft picks. I'll start off once again. Raw starts off with the women's tag champions, the Kabuki Warriors, Kairi Sane and Asuka. Like we mentioned earlier, they did make it known that if they lose the titles on another brand, that they will still come back to Raw.
Yeah, But like as of right now, they can travel across brands, and I hope they really do because they've been building up some women's tag teams down in NXT as well. So hopefully they actually get some shine with these women tag titles. But SmackDown wasn't left out in the dark. They ended up taking Daniel Bryan, so that was a really good pickup.
Pick. Yeah, I think they
that was a really big pick.
I think they cut to the Fox War Room and cut a B-roll of them celebrating at that point.
No, it was they cut to the
they cut to USA and they couldn't believe.
Were like devastated. They were devastated that Daniel Bryan was taken. So
oh my god!
I mean, it was very comedic, but this time I enjoyed the Raw USA War Room more than I did on Friday.
Did you notice that no one had changed outfits? Like
no, it was literally the same.
It was clearly they shot all that stuff ahead of time. Like, okay, I need you guys to react elated. Okay, I need you guys to be stressed. All right, I need you guys to be devastated, and then just chopped up those things and just threw them in the show. Raw's second pick, Rusev, which they were like, oh, we know he's happy to be on Raw, so he can watch his wife cheat on him. Just like, how did
I'm sorry. I'm probably a terrible human being for this, but it's like that whole Rusev Lashley Lana storyline is so bad that it's good for me. It's just comedic that I'm enjoying it.
Completely on board. I know this is where we are probably
we're in the minority here in the Straight Talk
I know
podcast.
Rob hates it, and I think I forget. I want to say Colin says it's cringy.
Colin despises.
Yeah,
Kevin thinks it's cringe as well.
I love it, man. I do. As long as there's some form of payoff. Like if this is literally just WWE punishing Rusev, then no. But like, yeah, if this, I want this to go somewhere because right now I'm on board with it, dude. But,
I mean, I think two great things have come out of this. One, Lashley's been able to show off more character, which he hasn't been allowed to do. You get to see him speak a little bit more, and I like that. And two, as you saw last week on Raw, like that, like unleashed this like Rusev, vicious side of Rusev, and he just destroyed Randy Orton and Baron Corbin last week. So
yeah,
maybe like we don't know what the payoff is, but here's the thing: for all the people that were talking about they want the Attitude Era back, or like, oh, they should let Paul Heyman control things. Paul Heyman was doing this kind of stuff in ECW all the damn time. He had these kind of storylines, plus the lucha stuff, plus the hardcore stuff.
People don't know what they want, man.
They don't know
what they want.
SmackDown knows what they want because they took the new and improved Bayley as their second and final pick of the second round. Gotta say, great pickup right there.
Mm-hmm.
Probably
the new Bayley with like her new entrance music, which I've seen go through the rounds. And at points, it sounds like they soundbited like the Rock's old theme. But
it sounds like I feel like it's been like 3 different theme songs every time they've played. I feel like it was one theme song after she won, one theme song during like the house show, and then a completely third different theme song tonight while she was playing. I don't know. We'll see what the song is.
They probably don't know what her theme is yet. Like kind of like Elias. Like Elias didn't really have a theme, like because he'd come out like to his own like playing the guitar, and then they just play some generic music that was like ripped straight off of WWE 2K.
You know who Bayley should take a page out of the Raw's next pick with their theme song.
Aleister Black.
That was a great pickup. That was amazing.
Man. Yeah, Aleister Black. Happy to see it. He's on Raw, and later on in the night, man, it looks like we might just have scheduled matches for him. We can stop with those backstage vignettes of him asking someone to pick a fight because I hate to say it, man, that just went nowhere. It went nowhere. They were trying to do something. Yeah. They were trying, but I
was hopeful, but after a certain point, it just felt like Emelina all over again.
They didn't know what they were doing with it.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what they do know what they're doing, and that is with the Viking Raiders and Rude and Ziggler, man. What a match between these guys. And boy, way to make the Raiders look strong because they came out and in the beginning of this match absolutely dominated the champs. I for real thought we were going to get a squash match and the titles were just going to change hands like that, man, which arguably I kind of would have preferred that, but that's a small gripe. I'm clutching at straws here. These guys.
So I'm gonna disagree with you there because that would have been really cool to see, but we've not seen the War Raiders just squash like tag team after tag team after tag team. Granted, the only feud they've had was against the OC, and they've dominated them. Yeah. Now they face Rudolph. I will forever keep calling them Rudolph. They will always be Rudolph to me. So, but what I liked about this is that like they were actual like this is awesome chants. Like after the match, the crowd was so invested. They actually cheered the Viking Raiders, and this match got them over way more than they would have if they just squashed Rudolph.
I'm just saying, I wanted to see my doppelganger, Mr. Ivar, in there. just steamroll these guys, okay? Can't help
Maybe
it, man.
maybe next time. Maybe if they have like some kind of rematch
Maybe.
or whatever, like some house show or whatever, you can get that outcome. But like for right now, for Raw, that was one of the better matches on Raw. And like we were saying, like tonight's Raw had great wrestling on there, and they had like the draft developments and they had story developments. It had a little bit of everything, which I liked.
Nice. Yes. So
After that, they had like a USA segment too. Like
well, we kind of breezed through it. I got a little bit.
I don't
more
remember
notes.
it. I don't remember it. I just like felt like throwing it out there because they went to commercial. They did the USA segment, and then
Oh yeah. I just listed that note afterwards. But you're right. Go ahead.
and then from like I don't have notes for the USA segment, but I really want to talk about their because they afterwards they came in, they did their little standard promo they do in the back, and it was great because they name drop New Japan, NXT, Ring of Honor. They said that they were the very first undefeated tag team to win the IWGP tag team titles, the Ring of Honor tag team titles, the
Name
NXT
drop.
tag team titles, and the Raw tag team titles. So they've put themselves over as a top tag team. And for like those that don't know, like even if you don't watch Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, they've used those names like to put over other guys. Like for instance, Joe and AJ. They've said, "Oh, he's a former IWGP heavyweight champion," or with Finn, they would say former IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champions,
Yeah,
or
they-
like former. Yeah, so it was really good. I like the promo. They seemed like intense, and they look like they might be that dominant tag team on Raw going forward.
Yeah, they really reserve when they WWE acknowledges other brands by names, because usually they'll gloss over and just say they're like they were champs all around the world and stuff like that. So it actually is kind of like one of those things where it does feel like it means more if you're allowed to name drop the
Right.
promotion that you worked for, and especially if they're letting the superstars themselves name drop it in their promo opposed to the commentators presenting it as well.
That might be a little Paul Heyman direction right there, because he's not afraid to like highlight other brands and other companies and promotions to like put over a current guy. I've seen he's done that before, so it might, because like I think he has a little bit more free reigns over there. Like since he doesn't have to go back to Vince McMahon all the damn time, so it might just be that. It might just be him like, look, you've won championships everywhere. List off all the titles and just like say that you're the only like that's impressive. Like everywhere you've gone, you become a tag team champion.
Yeah, so the match was pretty back and forth, and I stand corrected. My doppelganger is Eric, not Ivar. Ivar is much larger
Kinda-
with a bigger beard. Okay, but
He's the more athletic guy of the two.
which is odd. That is so surreal watching that big dude move.
It is.
But yeah, after the early dominance of the Viking Raiders, Ziggler and Rude do isolate Eric for the majority of the match until Ivar does get the hot tag. And then ultimately they do win with the Viking experience on Ziggler. During the commercial break of this match, we got one of the mainstream media plugs of the show, and it was Weekend Update. SNL's Weekend Update calling Jost and Michael Che. Che just kept throwing Jost under the bus, saying that he insulted Strowman. I really hope that's done though. I think that's just like a one and done gag. We already had that moment at WrestleMania. We don't need to relive it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Saturday Night Live crew. Yeah, that was actually pretty funny. I actually like it when they do short form stuff in their own element and they're not taking time away from Raw. They're really good. They're really really funny.
Yeah, not coming out in front of like a live Raw crowd where half the people don't know who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. We go back to the third round draft picks. Raw starts it off with Cedric Alexander.
Yeah, and just because they need a mid card title, SmackDown went ahead and picked up the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura. And if you noticed in the little like video package graphic that they put, they had Sami Zayn in the background. So Sami Zayn is also SmackDown.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. That's good. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Too.
So they brought him along just like Selena Vega did with Andrade, but like unlike Selena Vega, this is not a shot at Selena Vega. She is not the in-ring technician this Sami Zayn is. If he's on SmackDown, he's given the chance to shine separately.
If it was a battle of Hurricanranas, okay, Zelina's got that one. All right, I'm just saying.
I mean, Sami Zayn's been trained by one of the best luchadors of all time in El Generico. So, like, I don't know. That's debatable.
Whatever happened to that guy, man?
I don't know. I think he's like helping, like,
years.
I think he's over there helping charities down in Mexico. I don't know.
Okay. We follow up our pick on Raw with the 205 Live Blue Chip, Mr. Humberto Carrillo.
Oh, I love that pick. I didn't think it was going to get picked. I thought he was going to be one of those people that get like announced on Twitter or something.
That face.
Huge.
Oh, dude, that kid's a stud. Like, I can tell Vince looked at him and just saw his look and was like, yeah, bring him in.
Those dimples is what won him over.
Yeah. All right.
After that, we had another X205 Live standout. Ali, he's bringing that talent over to Friday nights.
Nice. And then we finish it off with the one of the more out of the ordinary picks, Eric Rowan, him getting some shine in the draft. That's nice to see. It kind of leads you to believe they might have something planned for him further on down the road outside of feuding with Roman Reigns. Yeah.
Well, that's the only good thing here is that Roman, the whole Eric Rowan versus Roman and Daniel Bryan feud, looks like it's over and it's done with, and that's good. They kind of slowly built him up, even though he lost his last match. Maybe there's something going on for him on Raw. I'm not very optimistic about it. These former Wyatt family guys, they come in, they get a certain level, people get somewhat invested, and then they just fall back into place like they used to be.
Yeah,
it's starting to happen to the Fiend too, so that's why I'm a little concerned. We'll see.
We will see. We get another match. So as I mentioned earlier, we get Aleister Black, just his entrance music, no backstage promo or anything like that. Which, by the way, his music easily top 5 entrance theme in the whole company. Taking on a wild appearing Eric Young. Holy cow, where's this guy been? Clean shaven too. Looks really weird.
It's so weird. I'm used to him with like a beard. I
thought it was local enhancement talent when I first saw him, and it took me a minute to register. I was like, dang, that's Eric Young in there, man. Like, last time we saw him, like, he got murdered by Seth Rollins when he thought he was going to be a ref for Baron Corbin.
Yeah, and before that, maybe he was like, he was so like in the crowd and unnoticeable, unrecognizable that he just like blended in with the rest of the 205, the 24/7 division. Yeah, 24/7 division. But this was kind of like a quick match. I mean, it was just mostly just like to highlight Aleister Black and put himself over.
Submission.
Oh man, I mean, he's used it before, but today we had an official name. So like he goes for the Black Mass. Eric Young ducks it, but immediately transitions into his new submission, the Dark Ritual, which I freaking love. I made a joke on it on the group chat saying that it sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh card name. So like I think it's kind of cool. The nerd in me really enjoyed that.
Oh man, yeah. I like that he seemingly hit it out of nowhere too. Like it was instead of like a long build up. I do like the finishes. That was one of 2 really sudden finishes tonight that had a very, very nice payoff. Where we at? Like the 4th round pick?
Yeah, 4th round.
Okay. So Raw starts it off with the new Raw's best kept secret, Mr. Buddy Murphy.
Yeah. That's another surprise for me. Like I'm a big fan of Buddy Murphy. He was drafted over to SmackDown after WrestleMania and wasn't really used. So, and even just tonight on Raw, you can see that they have big plans for him.
Dude, oh my God. Yes.
But I think the winners tonight was SmackDown because they picked up the best tag team in all of wrestling. Rudolph is coming in Friday nights on SmackDown.
Just stop, dude.
Stop. It's the name itself, man. The name itself, man. God. They were a tag team for like 1 week and they became number one. They for one day and they became number 1 contenders. Dude, that's just like amazing tag team chemistry right there. You can't teach that.
I literally can't stand them as a tag team. Like, it's like you take two guys that I'm really not interested in seeing in singles feuds, like, and then you put them in a tag team, and I'm like, oh man, this just gets worse for me. Like,
Here's the thing: I kind of like Rudolph more than I like the pairing of Robert Roode and Chad Gable. I thought that felt like more out of left field. That felt more out of left field than this. At least these are like two arrogant, cocky heels.
Right. Raw next picks up one of our resident hosts' favorite wrestler, Sebastian's pick, Mr. Maharaja himself, Jinder Mahal.
Which was a surprise. I didn't even see him in the graphic as a person eligible to be drafted. Maybe I just missed him.
I wonder if they have anything planned for him, because I'm not going to lie.
It's coming for that 24/7 title. That's what he's doing.
I kind of miss Jinder, like a little bit. Like like in my mind, I feel like they could properly use him until I see him, and then I realize like nope. Like but
he has the face of a champion.
He does.
Unfortunately,
man.
his in-ring technique and his in-ring ability isn't the best to like warrant him having like a solid title run. But personally, I like the guy.
You can put the U.S. title on him.
Sure, why not?
You can put the U.S. title on him.
Why not? Let's get that 24/7 title on him first, though.
Yeah. Who is the U.S. champion right now?
AJ.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's so wrapped up in the OC, I forget he's even champ, man.
Yeah, I know. That's another conversation for another day. After Jinder, we did pick up a former 24/7 champion, Carmella. She's going over to Friday nights, and what I liked is that Dio Madden made a point to like referencing that her and Corey Graves are dating, saying that he said, one of our broadcast colleagues is going to be very happy with that pickup.
Oh yeah.
Dio Madden has made he's very sneaky with his good commentary in there. Like, he's not the best, obviously, because he's still young and he's still learning, but he throws in the nice little zingers in there that I appreciate.
WWE is kind of doing they're doing better now. Like, it used to be taboo for wrestlers to date and stuff, so they got split up often. But that's changed nowadays. It feels like, okay, if you're a couple, WWE will somehow figure out to keep you all on the same brand. However, that's not the case with this couple, because with Carmella going to SmackDown, R-Truth's coming to Raw. I am devastated. I loved them as a pair, man. I really thought they have great chemistry. I thought they had plenty of legs still for their duo, but it looks like they are being split up. But who knows? Maybe that maybe that 24/7 championship travels to SmackDown on occasion, and we get them to pair up again.
We'll see. The one thing, if we're going to take positives out of this, is that this will free up Carmella and give her the chance and opportunity to vie for that SmackDown Women's title. They kind of slowly teased that she might be going into a program with Bayley back when she helped Charlotte in the beatdown between Boston Hug Connection and Charlotte. So instead of Becky making the save, it was Carmella coming in to make the save. Yeah, and there's history between both of them. They're former best friends. They've made it known in NXT. They made it known on Twitter and main roster. So they've made it known that they're best friends. So there's a story to be told there. You can say that she's coming in here to try to like get Bayley back on the good side and steer her away from the evil Bayley that she is now.
That's good. So afterwards, we cut backstage. You got this kind of upsets me that the Street Profits are the only people that wore like Raw brand hats, like, and treated it like a sports draft. We should at least cut to all the superstars just throwing a hat on, instead of like the still image of them being brought up. It should have just been just like a quick little video of them throwing their hat on. But anyway, Street Profits.
It could have been both. They could have given us both. They could have like taken this backstage, have them put on the hat, or like they could have did a thing where they, like in NBA and NFL drafts, they walk up to the stage, shake Stephanie's hand, put on the hat, and then they roll the video package or whatever.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, they could have done more, but oh well. These are small gripes. They're little gripes. So yeah. It's official. Street Profits are part of the roster now, which means they're eligible to get jumped, and that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
OC comes in, lays down, this is our turf, you're on our show, don't get it twisted. And then just when Street Profits are gonna like, hey, what's up? Super kick dealt out to Montez Ford, and then both of them ultimately get beat down by all three members, until they're ran off by referees. This was good. This was really, really good. What was not good though was the following nauseating promo by Ricochet. I hate they are pushing this dude as a superhero. This is, oh God, I get it. I mean, he has to appeal to children. I can totally see that he's got an appeal to children. He's a high flyer. It's just like, so was Rey Mysterio, but Rey Mysterio was never billed as like a superhero or anything.
Actually, I think they did that back in the day with Rey. They was like, oh, he's like a resident superhero or whatever. They've done that. Yeah, they did that with Rey.
I know he cosplayed a lot for like pay-per-views, but I didn't think that was like, they didn't lean into it. Like,
they didn't lean into it as hard as they're doing right now with Ricochet. Like, they're overdoing it with Ricochet. Like, dude, I get it. Like,
I am proof superheroes can be real. It's like, dude, no, just, oh God, he already struggles with promos, and then I feel like these are a step back, because that is hard to work with, man.
When you let them be themselves, like Ricochet has cut some decent promos when it's just been like him, like Ricochet the person, Trevor Mann the person, like that's when you're gonna get the best out of him. So like, I don't really like it. It seems forced. He's getting better at it, but I kind of wish they just leave it on the t-shirt. Don't make it such a point of emphasis.
I know, and that's what I mean, is they're leaning really hard into it. He is, however, taking on Shelton Benjamin. Why is Shelton Benjamin here?
Because he's a solid veteran.
Can we just pause this? Can we pause this whole show really quick? Why is Shelton Benjamin wrestling on WWE programming?
He's a great wrestler, man. He's the gold standard of professional wrestling.
I can't tell. If this was my first time, not even tonight. If his return was like my first introduction to Shelton Benjamin, why do I care about this guy? Like, what has WWE done? Now, granted, you don't have to sell me.
Hold up.
You don't have to sell me on him. I know who he is and what he can do. My argument is they're not doing anything with the guy. They made him.
They're basically using him like Mickey James for the like they've done with Mickey in the women's division, just as a person.
He's not
just another person.
They're not highlighting any strengths, man. He's no more than like local enhancement talent. Like, it really, like, who does he beat? Like, who's he gonna beat? He's gonna beat someone in a dark match. Maybe he'll beat someone on main event. But like, as far as Raw and SmackDown goes, like,
maybe they can build them up. We'll see. There's a lot of time on Raw, and Shelton Benjamin might be someone.
Shelton Benjamin ain't got that much time though, man. Like, he is in the twilight of his career. Unless he's gonna be like that, like a Pico, and just be like old man crazy, which they tried to do the freaking crazy thing with him, and wow,
they never
where did
went
that
anywhere.
go? Yeah, exactly. That was just another thing of like, what are they doing?
Before I lose this thought,
go ahead.
You mentioned like why was the point of him returning, and like a guy back from like the Ruthless Aggression era or like the PG era, like coming back and stuff like that. John Morrison recently got signed, and I know I'm jumping ahead here, but I just want to piece it together before I forget. After the beatdown, Street Profits kind of like challenged the OC, and they know there was a numbers game, and they promised they were going to have a surprise return. So I'm thinking it all pieced together in my head right now. What if the surprise return next week is John Morrison, and that's what we get for AJ's next feud?
No, that'd be cool.
It's like I said, like shit just comes into my head sometimes, and I try to blurt it out before I forget. But we'll see what happens.
No, I got you. It's, dude, like I said,
the match was.
Dude, Shelton is so
the match was just a highlight.
This, man. He's so, dude. Shelton Benjamin is one of the best things to happen those Money in the Bank ladder matches. Like, Shelton Benjamin has got some of the craziest highlights. This dude, athleticism, everything about him, man. Like, I don't know what Charlie Haas is doing nowadays. Go find him.
I have no idea.
Go find Charlie Haas. If that dude is in half the shape that he used to be in, go find Charlie Haas. Like, just, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just, It's like, why? Because even, when they bring back older talent, like Mickey James, she still made a run for the women's
Yeah.
championship. Dudley Boys, they made a run for the tag championships. Hardy Boys, they won the tag championships. They brought these guys back, and they at least give them some form of a push relatively early into their return. Shelton Benjamin has gotten nothing. He has come
Well,
back
to be fair,
in a nothing spot.
you're right. You're completely right. He deserves better. But to be fair, like Mickey was billed as one of the top women wrestlers when she was around. The Hardys were like
Shelton
one of the
Benjamin's
greatest.
the gold standard. Come on, they
I
gave
know.
him the gold standard name, bro.
I mean, they gave Drew McIntyre the chosen one gimmick, and it never went anywhere. So
that's
like,
true. No,
I get
fair point.
all I'm saying is that he was one of those mid card guys that were just brought in to like have a filler role. We saw it with guys like Rhino, even Kurt Hawkins made a return.
That's true.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They
if
won the
Tom
belts though. They won tag championships.
You're right. Okay, yeah. Okay, you're right about the Rhino. They won that was honestly by accident. They had no idea that Heath Slater and Rhino were gonna catch fire and be so over with the crowd as much
Dude,
as they were.
did. They were the inaugural SmackDown champions.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
they were the inaugural SmackDown Tag Champions. I don't know. Okay, I mean, it's like I said, it is what it is with Shelton Benjamin. It's just, I was never the biggest fan. It just feels like out of all the attitude, ruthless aggression returns, his has been the most meaningless. Like there's been no reason to watch.
Fair point.
But listen, he is featured later in the show, so who knows? I could be corrected here soon. I'm just saying, up until this point, super disappointing. This match was okay; it was decent. Ricochet.
The finish was the best part, where
Yes.
like how Sheldon does his like traditional Kurt Angle thing, where he like runs up the ropes and tries to do like a belly to belly. He tries to do that on Ricochet, and Ricochet just lands on his feet and then hits his finisher. What's
man.
called it's kind of awkward. He could have. Yeah, recoil. He could have landed
man.
pretty bad.
Yeah. Ooh. But he did land on his feet, and he hit that modified code breaker, the recoil, for the win. Yeah. Decent showing. Like I said, just another showcase match of one of Raw's picks coming out. Another thing that was showcased was Lana getting a massage after this. Oh boy. Hey,
it was funny because there were so many innuendos.
Yeah.
Yeah, the masseuse is like, is that right? Is that pressure like right? Is that the right amount of pressure? And Lana's like, no, I like it harder.
I like it deeper.
And then
oh my god,
it's like the masseuse is like, do you want me to go deeper? I'm like, yeah, I like it deeper. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what the fuck? And then when we get back from commercial, they transition, and Lashley's now replacing the masseuse after she says, do you want it deeper? And then Lashley's like,
dude,
I
that
think
smile on his face.
I think it's time for me to flip over and stuff.
Dude,
and then like Lashley has like this biggest
that smile
grin
said
on
like 1,000 words, bro. Like that smile on his face. Oh my god.
Oh man, it's so bad. It's good.
Yes. No, I'm totally on board. I'm sorry, Rob. Although Rob doesn't listen to this show, I'll apologize for the sake of it. Yeah, man. Oh,
I mean, I get it. It's not the best content, but like we're just like honestly, it's just so funny. It's so funny that it's hilarious to me, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think it's cringe. Yes, it is. But
yeah.
Man, Lana's just playing that role perfectly. Lashley's just into a zone with that character, and Rusev just like the defeated husband is just hilarious to me. Like Rusev, it deserves better, obviously, but I'm sorry, I'm really enjoying it right now.
Justice for Rusev, man. This better have some payoff, dude. This better have some payoff.
Oh man.
So we come back. King is in the ring. Jerry the King Lawler, that is. To mediate the contract signing between Braun Strowman and Tyson Fury. They do emphasize, they lean into it, that Tyson Fury is undefeated as a heavyweight boxer, of course.
I don't think that means much. So was Mayweather when he faced Big Show.
Yeah, so was Mayweather 15 years later. Excuse me. Strowman believes Tyson showed up on Friday Night SmackDown to steal WWE's spotlight. Tyson, however, rebuttals that he's there because his kids are fans of Strowman, and but come Crown Jewel, the controversial show, Crown Jewel, Tyson promises to knock Strowman out. I love this. Strowman gets up, chops the table in half, because these contract signings always end up with a broken table, but I've yet to see a
Right.
man break the table in intimidation. And Tyson's reaction was perfect. He just holds up like a pen, and he struggles and struggles with a pen, and then snaps it. Dude, the dude just oozes charisma. Like, I love
Yeah.
Tyson Fury, man. I know he's a controversial sports figure, but from a sports entertainment standpoint, the dude in a different life would be a perfect fit for WWE. Absolutely, the guy's talented. Talented is crazy.
I mean, for the most part, it's like he's been used on Saudi Arabia, the Saudi Arabia show Crown Jewel. So if you're not planning on watching and you're not into this feud, you weren't going to see it anyway. So
Right.
it's not on the show that you're going to watch. Me personally, I mean, I'm not going to watch it, but like
I think the build is going to be more
it is what it
entertaining
is.
than the match will. I think just
Yeah,
the
probably.
banter back and forth will actually ultimately be the most entertaining part of all of this. Like, I imagine the
Probably.
map's probably going to be a crap match. Like, Tyson's going to come out there, one punch, knock out Strowman. That's it, bam.
If you're assuming Braun's going to get that win,
No,
the way they do these celebrity
no,
matches.
Tyson will knock out Strowman.
Okay. I thought you said that Braun was going to come in and knock him out one punch, and then that was it.
No. WWE will gladly sacrifice their people for
Is it
in
crazy?
exchange to get a mainstream sports athlete onto the show.
Is it crazy that like Braun Strowman has completely like skipped that portion of Big Show's career where he's like a WWE and world champion and just like went straight into celebrity guy?
It is.
Isn't
man.
that weird? Like,
It's
because he's
dude.
paralleled Big Show's career. He's always been compared to like the next Big Show and stuff like that. He even had like the whole ring break with Big Show on Raw. But it's like he completely skipped over like winning the main title and stuff like that, and just went straight into I'm gonna start feuding with celebrities. He feuded with Colin Jost. He's feuding with Tyson Fury now. I
Tag
wouldn't be surprised if
champions with Nicholas.
Yeah, he was tag champions with a 10-year-old. Come on, Braun. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You just like went straight into.
Now, so
It's bad. It's
now there's WWE gets a lot of flack. You know what I mean with this stuff. But I mean, there's always another side, because there is a side of WWE that the fans, as much as we would like to think we know, that we just don't know. We don't know, like, and this is pure speculation. I have no confirmation on this, but we don't know what superstars are showing up late for work every day. We don't know what superstars
Yeah.
are causing rifts in the locker room and stuff like that. And, and there have always been cases where there are those guys backstage, and I'm not necessarily saying that's Strowman, but there
Right.
have been scenarios where guys got held back because they weren't champions behind the scenes. They weren't looked at as reliable. And that maybe this is a case, because you'd have to think that at one point Strowman was the hottest thing going on television.
He was.
When he was coming out and he played that bass guitar and he started singing, like, and he was flipping trucks over and stuff, like, everybody was tuning in week to week to see the next thing that Strowman was going to do. And then seemingly out of nowhere, pretty much, I think it was when after he feuded with Roman Reigns and then he turned heel, it just went south. It never quite right the course back to where he was at again.
I think then he was still somewhat, decent. He had his own faction with Dolph Ziggler and McIntyre. I think it was after Roman like went out and had to like leave WWE and relinquish the title because of his leukemia that they kind of tried to position him as like the top babyface of Raw, and something happened there because
he could have
like you were saying, like
had he beat Brock Lesnar, I think that would have been the biggest rub for him. Like, that would have probably done him more than anything else.
And he hasn't been able to. So I don't know. Like, I'm personally, I'm kind of like his segments, his matches, I'm not too invested in them anymore, and that's for the same reason. And maybe, like you said, we don't know what goes on backstage, and we're not pointing fingers and saying that Braun's like a terrible employee or anything. We're just saying that could come into play.
There might be.
We don't know what happens.
Exactly. There might be more to why he is kind of relegated to the sideshow of the show. Than actually having the spotlight on him. Some people that are getting the spotlight on him, though, is our next round of picks, where Raw starts off. They get now, I didn't realize injured people were able to be picked, but I guess they are. Samoa Joe is heading to Raw.
really good pickup for them. And speaking of Spotlight, the Spotlight will continue to shine over Friday Night SmackDown because The Miz, the A-listers, coming to Friday nights. And I really like that. I think that was a good pickup for them. And obviously, he's a big name. And if we saw the way that Fox and SmackDown was drafting, they were drafting like big names as opposed to like the best wrestling content because they have a bunch of big names on there.
That was
And
a
The Miz is
lock
a big
when
name.
Nakamura was confirmed for SmackDown. Wherever that
Yeah.
Intercontinental Championship goes, The Miz will follow.
Probably. Yeah, you called it in the group chat too. It's like, okay, Miz is going to SmackDown because he's got to go with his title.
Yep. Akira Tozawa, RIP 205 Live, by the way, folks. Akira Tozawa going to Monday Night Raw.
Okay. After Tozawa, it was King Corbin going to SmackDown.
Wow, big acquisition for Friday Night SmackDown. Is it
A
weird
little
that
late. A little late in
Corbin's?
the
I know,
draft,
but
too.
still, Corbin's kind of like low key turned into a big deal.
He is, dude. Like,
He's-
I know Rob like is like a big Corbin fan, and like I did seem like I was leaning into like Rob's shenanigans, but I'm becoming more and more of a Baron Corbin fan. The whole Constable Corbin gimmick really like helped me like the guy. Like he just like does little things. He reminds me of the Miz back in the day, where like everyone hated him, but
Yep.
eventually you just grow to appreciate and love him.
Yeah,
I think like
he's growing. I mean, that's the thing is he is technically improving, and his character, although maybe not be it the most white hot character, is definitely authentic to Corbin. You can tell
Yeah.
like that personality and that character he oozes, like that is definitely his wheelhouse. But yeah, no, absolutely. The wind is definitely in Corbin's sails. Someone who the last pick who could use some wind in their sails is who I mentioned earlier. Shelton Benjamin is acquired by Raw, so they did make it a point to draft him on air. Hopefully, I
That's
stand
good.
corrected, and they got a plan for the guy.
I mean, here's the thing. Cesaro, which has been putting on better matches and has been positioned better than Shelton Benjamin has since his return, wasn't even drafted.
Yeah.
And
I
that was the
told you.
thing. That was the thing.
I told you, man. He's heading to NXT UK. That's where he's
Stop,
going,
dude.
man.
No,
It's where he's going.
No, stop. I don't watch NXT UK like that. I don't have that much time on my hands. I want to see Cesaro on a weekly basis.
Oh,
Let him go to NXT Prime then. Let him go to NXT Prime.
Yeah, maybe. That'd be cool. I'd be cool.
All right.
I'd be cool.
Oh,
Honestly,
the
wherever
one
he
thing,
goes.
and again, Dio Manning coming in clutch right here with like the sports references, which I freaking love, was that he was saying that that Samoa Joe probably slipped in the draft was because of his injury. Just like in like actual like NBA and NFL drafts, you can be like a number one pick. In fact, we saw that last year. Like I know we're not a basketball podcast, but Michael Porter Jr. was supposed to be a number one pick, and he slipped all the way to 14. So that could be the case here with Samoa Joe, and they wanted to have a sports feel to the draft, and I really like that. You know, some people may not like that in their wrestling, but I thought it was good.
No, I mean anything to help blur the lines of kayfabe and realism. I'm all for. The more that you can make the show appear real, I'm totally for it. And another thing I'm totally for is this matchup between Buddy Murphy and Cedric Alexander. Good
Oh, yes.
God, match of the night, easily. And I'm gonna put this out right now. Probably one of the best finishes for logic
All of
reasons.
wrestling.
No. What's the word I'm looking for
the
here?
sequence. The sequence.
God dang it, man! When something makes sense, the ending of this match made sense, man. It did. These guys went at it. We could sit here and run down every move for move, but I mean, really, it was fast paced, high flying. There was reversals, high impact moves.
I gotta say though, that V trigger that Murphy has is probably the best in all of wrestling. I know, like, I'm not shading on Kenny Omega by any means, but Buddy Murphy's V trigger is just so smooth, so vicious.
It's nasty, man. But yeah. So the ending sequence shows, excuse me, Alexander run up to the top ropes. Murphy does that whole thing where he like tucks his head between his legs and super kicks him.
I love that.
gets under him. does a running like Batista bomb, a sit down power bomb, only gets the 2 count, and then does different than what any other wrestler does. Any other wrestler shows shock and awe. They can't believe it. Not Buddy Murphy. Without skipping a beat, he picks Cedric Alexander up, nails him with the Murphy's Law because he's obviously laid out, and then picks up the win. Why don't we get that more often?
Because that's common sense in video game logic. Honestly, if you played any wrestling video game, you hit a strong move, you pin someone. Okay, that doesn't do it. Let me hit another strong move and try to pin them. You keep hitting strong moves and then try to pin people.
They're down. Don't run to the ref and argue they count, and you're letting them regain their bearings, man. Oh my god.
I mean, it was a strong win here for Buddy Murphy. Yes, it's disappointing to see Cedric get close to the U.S. title and then drop back down to where he's at now. But Buddy Murphy,
someone's got to look good. When it comes in these two guys, I mean, there just has to be a winner. You can't have a draw and do the 50-50 booking. No,
unless you have a time limit like they do in AEW. But they don't do that. No, they don't do that here.
No. So I don't know if they intentionally made Murphy look intelligent, but they definitely inadvertently made Murphy look like one of the most intelligent wrestlers in the entire roster.
I think he is. I think he's underrated.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Huge fan now already.
One thing I'm not a fan of was what they did after this was they went back to the Crown Jewel stuff. They announced all the matches, and during Team Hogan versus Team Flair, they confirmed that Ricochet is going to be part of Team Hogan, and they added who did they add? They added Bobby Lashley, and they added Shinsuke Nakamura to Team Flair. So there's only 1 spot left on Team Flair. There's 2 more spots left on Team Hogan. But then they were saying, we don't know how Seth is going to fare in this match because also at Crown Jewel, he has to defend his Universal title against The Fiend. And what the heck is this, Kyle? What is this? Why are we still doing this?
This is to get eyes on the product. They know people don't want to watch it. They know that the American crowd is, because there's been petitions, WWE has had to acknowledge that they're still going forward with the show. It's been brought up. It's not like it's unknown to them. They have to come up with a way to try and get eyes on the product. The Fiend is the hottest thing going in the show right now. You put him in the title match. I think it is that simple. It's just a ploy to get eyes on the show. They sacrificed that ending at Hell in the Cell, which if you didn't hear, the original plan for that was for the Fiend to get tossed off the cell and then to no-sell it.
No, not to no-sell it. That would have been the end of the match. Him getting tossed off the cell, then the ref would have thrown it out.
Come back up, raised from the dead is what I mean.
But they were still thrown out exactly, that would have happened, but they would have thrown out the match before he had came back and no-sold it. So that would have been the worst finish. The one thing I'm gonna say that they probably doing this is because I'm assuming that the Saudi government requested the Fiend to be one of the people on the show. So maybe that's why they're having the match again there. I just don't think it makes sense for the Universal title to be on the line, especially since they're both on different shows.
They defended it last time, though. That's the thing. You had Brock and Roman, I think it was, or Brock and Braun. I can't remember which one it was. Hell, maybe it was both of them.
But they weren't on separate shows at that point. The Fiend's on SmackDown and Seth Rollins on Raw. That kind of just telegraphs the victory here. The one thing that can salvage this is that they did make an emphasis when they went back to the draft center.
There's going to be a trade after the show.
Yeah, there's going to be a big trade within the next 24 hours. Just me trying to get people to tune into the WWE backstage tomorrow night, and that's probably where they're going to announce the big trade. So maybe they'll do something where the Fiend goes back to Raw, and it's a non-issue. But at this point, if the Fiend's going to stay on SmackDown and Seth Rollins on Raw, we know who's winning that. That's either going to be a no contest, no finish.
The issue is the Universal Championship being defended between these two guys in Saudi Arabia on a show that arguably always has no stakes. I am actually leaning on the side. I'm not trying to give too much light to this show because there's a lot of controversy surrounding it. Stuff that we're not going to touch into on the show here. Just know that we're not covering the show due to the controversy. You guys, if you want to watch it, please. We're never going to hate on anybody enjoying watching wrestling. It's just as far as our concern goes, it's not something that we're interested in watching or promoting, but it is part of Raw, and we do cover Raw, so that's why it's incorporated with us. But I am actually leaning on the side that the Fiend's going to get the title.
But if he gets the title, then if he gets the okay, here's the thing. If he does get the title, fine.
I know it doesn't make sense. I know.
Why is he on SmackDown then?
I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It's just for me. It's like I don't know because
maybe the trade tomorrow. Maybe the trade tomorrow shines a little bit more light and makes this
okay. So
seem a little
if
bit more
he is
possible.
traded to Raw, I'm making it a lock that he gets the Universal Championship.
But didn't we say that for Hell in a Cell that it's a lock that he's going to get the title, and then we had that finish?
Well, we did say with the exception of a non-finish. We argued that a non-finish doesn't make sense. Granted. But like I said, it's messy. There's no way to go oh, that makes sense. I'm cool with this now. No, it's gonna be uncomfortable no matter what way you spin it.
Right.
Yeah. So let's just go ahead and move on. What you mentioned earlier, Street Profits are out for revenge on next week's Raw. They're getting a mystery partner. You speculate there's going to be the newly signed John Morrison.
Maybe.
I think
it probably won't be. That's just me being optimistic and just fantasy booking again. But it might not be John Morrison. It might just be like Cedric or something.
What if they rename him to Johnny Elite just to throw a jab at AEW?
Johnny Elite. I mean, he's been changing his name left and right. He's been
got
Johnny
the
Impact,
most names. Yeah,
Johnny Mundo, John Hennigan.
He should face. Dude, he needs to face Johnny Gargano for just the name Johnny Wrestling.
Right?
Yes. Fight for the name. So we go back to
after that. I think it was the
final
sixth round, final round of the draft, right?
Final rounds. Raw went ahead. They went ahead and got themselves Rey Mysterio is one of their final picks.
Mm-hmm. After that, Chad Gable, because I refuse to call him anything else. No, Chad Gable is coming to SmackDown. I'm not calling him that guy. I refuse to.
Did you hear how commentary was like, he's taking the negative and spinning it into his own. He's taking all the hate and the criticism, and he's showing it doesn't keep him down, and that's why he's going forward with Shorty Gable. I'm like, oh my God, stop trying to rationalize your terrible, terrible name.
It's better than Shorty G.
Yeah,
but it's still so
doesn't
bad.
make sense why he even has the name. Braun or
Chad Gable. He's an Olympian, goddammit.
King Corbin was like, your name is Shorty Gable. And then WWE was just like, oh, we have to listen to you. So why doesn't King Corbin walk around and rename everybody now? Why doesn't he get to rename the whole roster? Because obviously he has that power now.
That reminds me, I forgot to tweet him asking him to change Mustafa Ali's name back and Andrade's full name back. I'm trying to get those full names back.
Hopefully. All right, let's get back to Alexander Rusev. Antonio Cesaro.
Cesaro.
Apollo Crews got his name back, right? Yeah.
Apollo Crews got his name back.
He did.
Maybe Biggie Langston.
Who else has had their names short? Oh, Otis Dozovich and Tucker Knight. Get them their names
Elias back. Sampson. He just became Elias. But that kind of works, though,
Elias did.
He's a musician.
He's got kind of a lisp. I felt like his name was a joke that he has a lisp. Did you notice that? He does kind of have a lisp, man.
No.
And they named him Elias Sampson. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that's why they gave Jack Swagger the name Jack Swagger is to mock his lisp? While we're at it, I don't even remember their names, but give Eric and Ivar back their original names. Oh, they were Hanson and Rowe.
Yeah, Hanson and Rowe sounds so much better. Although, you know what? Eric and Ivar don't piss me off as much anymore. I've grown to like him. Who else?
Give Ruby Riot, take away one of the T from Ruby Riot, because it used to be just an I.
Yeah.
And then they add an extra T for whatever reason.
Just because.
Just because. No reason whatsoever.
Gosh.
But wait, where did you leave off on the draft? I said Gable, right? Who picked up
You're on
next?
your you're
Who did
on
Raw pick up next?
oh Titus O'Neil. We got Titus O'Neil on Raw.
Okay. After that, it was Elias Sampson, and that was the last pick for SmackDown Live, I
And Raw,
guess.
yeah, Raw rounds out its newest pick or its final pick with Liv Morgan. They did not update her image, so they're still holding her reveal close to the chest.
And here's the thing: it was a big surprise to me. I was not expecting Liv Morgan to be even drafted, not because I don't think she's a good like wrestler or anything like that. I mean, she's by no means like Oscar or anything like that, but I like her personally. She's really nice. I like her as a character. I'm invested. I've liked her, and I don't know. They kind of position her just like they did with Carmella back in the original draft, where Carmella was the last pick for SmackDown.
Yeah,
And they're kind of doing the same thing here. They were like, "Oh, Miss Irrelevant," but they just say that because she was like forgotten about. But then she's gonna prove everyone wrong or something. So they might have big things planned for Liv Morgan. We don't know.
yeah, no, I can see that. We cut back to the draft panel / kickoff panel, and everyone kind of gives their picks. Who the bigger draft picks were. Samoa Joe endorses Buddy Murphy, while Beth Phoenix is happy about King Corbin, and Booker T. That's where Booker T makes the announcement that there will be a trade taking place. We get the main event of the night. Your women's tag team champions, the Kabuki Warriors. Excuse me, Jesus Christ. It's been a long night, man. It's late. It's going on 1 a.m. over here. Kairi Sane and Asuka taking on Natalya, who there was no story. Like, Natalya's got a mystery partner. Just Natalya came out and she got to pick her own partner in. Here's an odd choice: Lacey Evans, and these two have been wrapped up in a blood
zero
feud.
sense. Made zero sense.
The only thing I could think of was like the bar light. Like, this is like the light version of how the bar was formed, except they're not being forced together. Natalya just for some reason power bombed Lacey Evans. This would make sense, although this was done on the fly. So there
Right.
was like no planning in this. But had Natalya power bombed Lacey Evans last week off the stage and then just had a 10-20 second clip backstage, like, we need to squash this. That was it. Like, that's all you needed. Like, just a little segment, something, just be like, look, let's end this now. But whatever, that's wrestling for you. Wrestling never gives you exactly what you
Right.
want or anything that makes sense. But it did lead you to believe, would Lacey actually coexist with Natalya in the ring? And they left that story for 95% of the match. Natalya was in that ring the entire time. And then they really dragged out the hot tag. Natalya
Yeah, they did.
was just paralyzed, like laying
Right.
there. Lacey Evans ultimately did tag in, got a hot tag.
Yeah.
She came out strong. She hit the women's right on Kairi Sane, but unfortunately for her, Kairi wasn't legal. Asuka rolls her up, and that was your main event. It was decent. Don't know where it's going.
One thing that I noticed, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but did you notice how Asuka had like that cool
the face paint.
green paint? Oh man, that
Yeah.
looks so good.
It's kind of
Like you said,
the Great Muda almost is kind of what it reminded me of.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she has one of her masks one of her masks on NXT or even like on main roster. One of her masks actually does have like that Great Muda, like green paint, like tear, and then like vomit or whatever. So
Yeah.
she So I like the paint. I like this new version of Asuka, and it was great. Like the match was what it was going to be. They obviously like the ending kind of felt rushed. I don't know about you because it felt like,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
damn, like we're running
have-
short.
2 minutes left of air, and we still got one more segment left.
Yeah, exactly. So I felt like the ending kind of felt rushed because they didn't even get to like take 10 seconds off of the out of the ring before they cut straight to like the Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah, I called this one in the group chat too, man. I called this ahead of time. I'm proud of it. So Seth, who earlier in the night, if you can't remember, said he was fiend hunting. We're getting a Firefly Funhouse segment with Bray Wyatt. Just when it starts out, Ramblin' Rabbit warns Bray that Seth's on the way. Ultimately, Seth does jump into frame, start beating Bray down, and then during the stare-off, I knew it, man. Unlike The Fiend, Bray Wyatt trembled and almost asked for forgiveness. Please stop,
He
Seth.
he was asking Seth, "Why are you doing this?" Seth?
Yes, I
Like he had
love
no
it,
idea.
man. I
Yeah, it was great.
love it, and you could hear what's her name, the
Abby the Witch.
Abby the Witch in the background, imploring with Seth, please stop. But Seth channels his inner Randy Orton and burns it down. This is the second time Bray Wyatt has had his house set on fire, man. What the hell, you guys? Like,
He needs a better
seriously?
security system for his household. That's what he
You,
needs.
man. Oh, and Raw goes off the air with Seth burning it down. He burns down the Firefly Funhouse.
Did you catch that? Like as they were closing off the show, you could hear the crowd booing.
Yes. Oh, that was a heel turn for sure. Granted, they're
Dude,
not
if that
gonna play
okay,
it up.
I know you were saying it's a heel turn for Seth Rollins, and it might be the best course of action for Seth Rollins right now because obviously he's not getting over with the fans as a babyface.
Yep.
And especially like some of his tweets where he just like bashes other like wrestlers online, which I get it, you're defending your company and stuff like that, but like
Just
he
bleed
just
that
comes he's been
persona
com-
into the WWE, man.
Yeah, so maybe that's the best course for Seth right now is to turn heel. And during his interview with Charlie Caruso, he did finally elaborate, saying that he had to go to a dark place that he wasn't that he didn't want to go to, but he wasn't proud of
He's
it,
there now.
but he's not ashamed of it. He wasn't ashamed to go to that dark place either.
You know who?
So-
You know who pulled off the douchebag calling out other wrestlers shtick pretty good? Not exactly like Seth, but it helped their heel narcissist persona. Was Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner would, he would, man. He would name drop like The Rock.
A great promo.
I mean, no, listen, I'm not saying he was great at promos, but what I'm saying is on air, he called out wrestlers on other promotions. Like, I remember specifically, man, him being on WCW and them teasing that someone had come over from WWF at the time. And he was name dropping everybody. He was name dropping The Rock and Stone Cold. And he was like, I'll beat all their asses.
I think my favorite one was when he called out Ric Flair in the middle of the ring and just called him out for like stealing Buddy Rogers' gimmick.
Yeah. So it's, granted, this was 20 years ago in WCW, but
Right.
it can be done, and Scott Steiner was a hell of a heel, so
I mean, heel Seth is arguably top Seth.
yeah. Oh,
you think
easily. In my opinion, because I don't even think he appeals to kids that much. Like, I think he appeals to middle schoolers, maybe. Like,
He appeals to like maybe the middle schoolers that are going through that punk rock phase. Like, oh yeah, someone that's just like me, maybe. I mean,
yeah.
not to shame on anyone. Like, you can like whoever you want, but I'm old enough to the point where he just comes off as corny and cringe to me, and I think he doesn't have that aura like Roman and that most kids would appeal to. Like Roman, like obviously, like I wasn't into him like when he was doing most of his like major run, but like I could see kids. I saw some of my younger siblings and like cousins, stuff like that. They were really into Roman. They liked Roman, and I got the appeal from like a kid's point of view. I mean, I liked Cena back in the day, and I'm sure a lot of people grew up with Hogan as like one, and Ultimate Warrior as one of those people that they just looked up to, and they had that aura.
Yeah, no, I can see that. But yeah, Seth's gonna get booed from here on out. His cheers, he's gonna get booed. He's gonna have diminishing returns as far as his face value goes. It's hard for him to turn heel over Bray because then normal dynamic would have to be like Bray would be face, which the Fiend is not going to come out of this thing face. Do you think this is the end of the Mr. Rogers persona of Bray and he's just the Fiend now?
No, I think he's going
to be able to cut promos.
And yeah, that's the thing. You need to keep the Mr. Rogers version of Bray Wyatt because even like his stuff on like Good Morning America, we're like building up to what was just the last paper, the Hell in a Cell. They were like doing promotional work for Hell in a Cell and stuff like that, and even on Fox. So that allows him to go on like interviews, go on shows and promote WWE, which is what Fox wants if he's actually going to stay on SmackDown. So what I think is that that he's gonna turn heel because they're like, oh, dude, it was the Fiend attacking you. It wasn't Seth, and like the Firefly Funhouse is just so likable by a lot of people, and maybe even kids. That's the whole point, is that he's brainwashed these kids and fans to believe that he's like such a nice and good guy. He had nothing to do with it, and by association, Seth just comes off as the bad guy for ruining the Firefly Funhouse.
Go ahead.
No, it was just that was basically the gist of it. It was like, it's gonna, even though like Bray is the bad guy, it's gonna make it seem like Seth is the heel, and it's slowly gonna transition him to like start doing even more darker things and more heinous attacks on people.
He's gonna lose his humanity, is what it's gonna be.
He's gonna, which is what Bray Wyatt should always been. Like, I know, like I've always felt like this, and Steven Larson always say this a lot. Like, even like when his initial feud with John Cena at WrestleMania 30, he didn't have to win that match, but had he made John Cena compromise his morals and have to cheat or hit Bray Wyatt with the chair to win, it would have been a huge victory
for Bray
Wyatt.
Yeah,
because you exactly.
Yeah,
but you didn't get that then. You might be getting it now with Seth.
I just had a funny thought. You know how we've had the Mr. Rogers character of Bray because he enters the Firefly Funhouse, and you get the whole feel of the Mr. Rogers. That just means the next persona that we get for him is going to be Bob the Builder. He's going to come out in a hard hat, and him and the puppets have to rebuild the Firefly Funhouse.
Hey, you know what? Don't knock it, because that new Firefly Funhouse set is not the original set. They need a brand new set if it's an excuse to set up a new one. And here's the thing. They had the Muscle Man dance on Firefly Funhouse. It might be a good thing. It might be a blessing in disguise. You might just like stumbled into like creative gold there, Kyle.
I'm telling you, man. Book it. Anyways, guys, that's our show. Thank you all for joining us with this one. Make sure to tune in on Thursday when we cover both AEW and NXT. Of course, you'll have Vince running the NXT show, myself running the AEW show. And then Saturdays when we do our, of course, Friday night SmackDown recap. Once again, we pump out like 4 shows a week, so go ahead and join us. Make sure to like and subscribe, and you guys, we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.